All right, we got to react. This is just like an IGN trailer. It's only 4 minutes long. It's from a game called SpaceCraft, and I took a little peek at it beforehand. Actually, normally I watch these, live with you. Never seen them, and I was like, oh, yep, this is definitely worth just discussing because it has a very interesting way of doing things. Let's just say that. So here is a SpaceCraft official overview trailer.
Welcome, Pioneers, to our very first look at the development build of SpaceCraft. We're really excited to show you where the game's at right now and give you a feel for some of the systems we're building behind the scenes. Keep in mind, everything you're about to see is work in progress and doesn't yet fully reflect what we envision for the game at launch. In this dev blog, we're focusing on the tutorial, which gives you your first taste of how the game plays and introduces some of the core systems. Your journey starts on Babylon 7, a space station owned by the company. Stations like this are central to the game. They're where you'll refine resources, trade goods, upgrade your ships, and more.
It looks like pretty, nothing crazy. I'm personally, I don't know how you guys feel, I am personally not a fan of the third-person spaceship games as much. Everspace is really good, but I like that I can go first person. I have not seen first person in this just yet. So.
In the tutorial, Babylon 7 is a solo instance, but in the full game, stations will be important multiplayer hubs for interaction and cooperation.
But like right away, what do you see that like makes no sense, right? Makes no sense from a space standpoint, but makes perfect sense from a game standpoint. Why are those planets so close to each other? Like their gravity would totally like pull them into each other and it just wouldn't make any sense. But yeah, this is in a little while, like this is the moment where I was like, oh, yeah, we need to watch this because this is the example of where everything kind of went wrong for Star Citizen, I feel like.
We've designed piloting to be intuitive, built around two key concepts, flight path and flight speed. Your ship moves based on the direction you're facing, and you can smoothly throttle up or down to manage your speed.
Flight model seems fantastic in comparison to ours.
At its core, SpaceCraft is an expansive, open-ended sim where you can explore, build, trade, and fight across the living galaxy. You'll pilot your own ship, mine resources, craft parts, and design your own vessels. From setting up automated production chains to engaging in tactical space combat, how you play is up to you. You can play solo or team up with others to shape the economy, grow powerful corporations, and leave your mark on a newly forming galaxy.
It sounds like they're going for some level of EVE Online, Elite Dangerous meets Star Citizen. It's like kind of like cherry picking little things that they like, but as you could tell, a seamless transition to a planet. But like when you look, he's only 4,500 meters above the surface. And you can kind of see that, like, I could see the curvature of the planet, and it's a very, very small planet. Yeah, maybe more Space Engineers. I've never really played Space Engineers, so I can't speak on it.
And yes, traveling from space down to a planet's surface is completely seamless. Exploring planets means heading to landmarks and scanning for resources. As you find new materials, they're logged automatically on the planetary map. Find something unfamiliar, scan it to analyze and reveal what it is. Resource gathering starts simple with a mining laser, but quickly branches out. Different materials need different tools. Some, like hardened shells, have to be broken up with missiles. Liquids and gases require specialized harvesters. Volatile resources can explode if they get too hot, so you might need cooling systems to handle them safely. For certain materials, you'll need to land and go on foot, adding variety and risk to how you gather resources.
So eventually, not just the spaceship game, also FPS, right? Which is like a big thing with Star Citizen.
You'll automate this process.
And Elite now,
That's when
I guess.
Things start scaling up. You'll build bases on different planets, install extractors, and set up drones and cargo ships to handle mining, refining, and transportation.
Now it sounds like X4. So it's like, what's going on, right?
You'll manage power.
Is there competition? Like where it from when I mention EVE, it just sounds like there's like some player-driven economy, but we don't know what combat between each other. You know, we don't know what that's going to look like. These kind of third person, this is what they're meant for, right? Like these kind of models, like you could just use a controller with them. So I'm sure they're not going to be very complicated or anything like that. But I do want to talk for just a second about what we've seen so far. A seamless transition to a small planet, 2 planets very close to each other. And it was relatively smooth, couple stutters, right? But nothing crazy. And it looked like a developer that looked at Star Citizen and said, I think I can do that, but at a normal, reasonable scale, not something ridiculous, right? Star Citizen boasts about their scale, but their scale is everything bad about it. You know, it's what causes all of the blown budgets. The fact that there's 200 ships is pretty much because of its scale, not just the scale of the game, but the scale of the company and why they're, you know, the 2-game thing versus all of the employees. It is the bottleneck, right? It is not a bottleneck. It is and has always been the bottleneck. The amount of entities that they have to have and why it has to be seamless and all these things is the problem. It has always been the problem that they're trying to solve. These guys just go, okay, Star Citizen, really cool concept of a game. Some of these other games, really cool. Let's bring some of those elements and do it at a scale that is actually achievable. Or I should say actually achievable with, you know, a much smaller studio, I imagine, and maybe, I don't know, deliver on something.
Storage, housing, and supply chains, building out entire networks that stretch across the galaxy. If you're the kind of player who loves optimization, there's a lot to dig into, and you can do that as a corporation with your friends for extra help.
Yeah, like I'm short. Like they're already showing crafting. You know, like they just have. These are the criticisms of Star Citizen for me, right? It's very simple stuff. None of this existed in the early stages of the game, and I always questioned why, and I always got shit for it. Having a clear understanding of your day-to-day, your base level gameplay, and just building that out from the beginning has always been my, like, great, you got your big scale, you got your this, you got your that, you know, the game looks pretty fantastic. Because crafting wasn't in the plans, which I was always critical of. How can you have a multiplayer MMO without it, right? It was just very simple things that they just could not comprehend that like needed to exist. It was just so obvious. And it's just refreshing to see somebody already be working on that, right? Yeah, you know, Jared's a better ideas thing. Well, when you start out with the worst possible ideas, we hope that you would have better ones at some point. But
Back of the stations like Babylon 7 will never...
I think we would also hope that a studio that is given money hand over fist and, you know, has had lots of success would make better decisions the first time. And they really haven't.
Navigate
right?
between areas using elevators. Each zone serves a different purpose. Some, like the shipyard, are private, perfect for refining resources, crafting advanced components, or working on your ship without distractions.
Right? Okay, here's a place that is completely private. You're not going to interact with any other players at all because that would be a bad experience, right? Star Citizen's starting to figure that stuff out with hangars, right? Where a lot of people were like, you know, I remember like PvPers did not like that. And it was just like, what? you just need a place to chill sometimes.
Others, like the docks, are instanced by ship traffic. We're also building shared spaces, like marketplaces, where you'll trade with the company and other players. Some stations will also have unique zones tied to quests or introduce new mechanics entirely. Ship editing is a major feature too. You can customize and upgrade your ship by swapping out modules or go even deeper with the assembly system, letting you physically reshape your vessel. Add new engines, wings, or blocks, and tweak performance to suit your playstyle.
Pretty simple.
As you progress, you'll unlock the ability to build entirely new ships from scratch, with every part affecting how your ship handles, how fast it goes, and how much it can do. That's just a glimpse of what we've got in store for SpaceCraft. We'll be back with more updates soon, diving deeper into the game and how all these systems come together at scale.
Loading screen. That's a loading screen to go to another system. Planets very close to each other again. Keep things doable and not try to break, you know, and try to break the mold or something, right? Just keep things simple. And yeah, nice little loading screen. No problem with that, as long as it's not Starfield level loading screens and it doesn't appear to be that. Looks pretty good. So there you go. SpaceCraft, you can wishlist it on Steam. I am super intrigued, just like every other game, early access, you know, and not really overly excited by things like that. But it's still something that yeah, it looks like a decent idea on paper. We'll see how it plays out in reality, but in general, looks kind of cool.